Alright, so in today's video we're going to take a look at the Audio 30cc Mercedes-Benz radio, and we're going to take a look at how you can add Bluetooth to this particular model. Now keep in mind, holy shit. And keep in mind, this is the CM1910 made by ALPINE. I don't think it says on here, but you can see it from the serial number. There's also the exact same looking radio from, holy shit. Holy shit. Yeah. Hopefully this is fine. Now there's exactly the same radio done by Becker. And that's completely different. I also have the know-how and schematics for that. And once I get one, I'll make a video about it as well. So in this case, there's very little room to place the Bluetooth port. Usually I'd stick it on here, but this radio has a lot of big heat sinks on this side. The Bluetooth chip really doesn't like going above, I think, 85 degrees or something, so it turns off at 85. This FM front end gets really hot. The tape mech has to be here. If you remove it, it doesn't have any sound, so that's fucked up. And so that leaves just this bit of room over here. And I'll about this much heat shrink to this and just laying it on its side over there. What else can we talk about before the demo? I think not much. Oh yeah, so my particular demo, I think I have a schematic for 1, 2, and 3. But what I'll be showing you guys is how to remap the star, 0, and hash keys for previous track, play, pause, and next track. However, you have to keep in mind, if the code of the radio requires a 0, that's a no-go. I have done this and realized afterwards it was a pain in the ass. Do not follow in my footsteps. And there's a different variant of this. I'm not sure if it's the Becker one or it's a second ALPINE variant. I really don't know, but some of these radios have eject functions on these, right? So you again can't use them, right? So remapping the keys on these is very futtery, depending on what variant and what code they have. So that being said, I think we can go for a quick demo just to show how this works. I don't want this to be touching anything very metallic over here, and I don't think it is. All right. And ignition. Boom. Jumps straight into AM. This particular radio had a bit of an incident with the cassette tape. Something happened and it blacks out every 10 seconds or so. It used to black out and blank out the sound. I've bridged this little switch here, and now it just blanks itself out, but the rest works. I don't know. I've tried mitigating that. Absolutely no success. However, it should have reconnected. Yeah, okay. So let's get everything into shot. And so you wouldn't have taken your phone out of your pocket. Bluetooth module connected to it. Hit play. Volume and faders work as expected. Bass and everything. Oh, bass has a different knob, okay. But yeah, you're not going to be able to experience a lot of bass with that setup. But anyway, so all of these work. And next and previous also work. And again, what this radio does is particular to this one. I haven't had this happen before. And due to time constraints and the fact that I don't have parts radios anymore, I can't swap out this tape mech because I think this is causing the issue. And if I remove it, I got no sound on the stream on AM. So that's also fucked up. But anyway, let's go on over and check out the plans. All right, so let's get some more light on here. Maybe this is too much. And so I'll quickly show you guys how this looks in situ. And then we'll have a look at the, I should bring something more proper. Then we'll take a look at the diagram, and that will be it. This is such an annoying connector. All right. Okay, so what is happening here is we have, zoom in ever so slightly, is this enough? We'll see. So we have 4 cables going up to the front panel, interfacing with the 3 buttons, right? So we have the 3 buttons and 1 common wire. We have one connector, one connection that goes over to this transistor, and this is high at about 7-8 volts when the radio is in AM. So this is used as an enable signal, and it is taken onto this DC-DC converter. This is a buck converter with an enable pin. Very, very important. I've said this in my previous videos, but on this buck converter, you need and you must remove this pull-up resistor. So this is a, what is it, 30 ohm? I think it is. It's a 30 ohm resistor between VN and enable, right? And you don't want to have that. So what I recommend is you can use your soldering iron if you feel fancy. What I like doing is just shifting it off the board, like so. Right? And then make sure there's nothing left behind it. Just do another soft scrape. And that should be it. And I don't think I touched the corner resistor either. And yeah, so basically now this is a DC-DC converter with a proper enable pin. And the supply for that comes from this side. And this is just linked to the 12 volt input, right? The permanent 12 volt input. And if you would not pop that resistor off, it would backfeed voltage into this system, which can cause severe and irreparable damages, especially on the Audio 10 CD radio. And so that's the power, the 4 wires for common, play, pause, previous, and next. And I'll show you guys how those are wired up. And as for the audio, this has to go through some decoupling, some DC blocking capacitors. So this is a single-ended connection that sits at 0 volts, right? So all the sound oscillates above and below 0. The mixer chip from Philips, this one, you can find a data sheet for it online. This has some option ports for injecting sound in. And those sit at about, again, like 4 to 7 volts, about 6 volts, something like that. So you definitely have to block that and make these systems compatible. And what is also very helpful is to turn this up to 100%. So turn your phone up to 100% to ensure as much bass goes through the entire signal path. And the last thing that you need to do, right, since we're using AM, you need a way to block whatever AM signal is flowing through here. And fortunately, the 10th pin from the left or right, I'll again show the diagram later, is an AM blank, I think it's called, and you can just tie that to ground and it'll blank out AM, and you can inject your sound above it. It'll sound perfect. So, zooming out, let's see how what I just said looks in a PDF document, which apparently my iPad doesn't want to open. All right, what do? Buy a new iPad. All right, so these two on this side are used to supply the Bluetooth port. And again, this is a battery voltage, which can range anywhere between 10 and 15 volts. And this is permanently there. It's not switched, it's not anything. I also have another enable signal that I've discovered whilst reverse engineering it, but apparently I'm not using it, so I don't know. Do with this information what you wish. And again, this transistor over here, leftmost one, has 8 volts on it when you're in AM. Probably enables the AM front end. As far as the mixer chip, this has to be tied to ground for mute, and you can tie a wire to the left side of this capacitor, and then the other one has to be tied to this pin here. Pitch is not excessively small, so kind of doable. And this board is very similar to the Audio 10 CD board. However, in this case, using the capacitors that are used on that one is not applicable. So somehow they sound completely garbage. I don't know. Yeah, so they sound pretty bad. The circuit is ever so slightly different. And this would be the pinout for the mixer chip, just for reference. And I think that covers the functional part, and then the extras, meaning button control, which I would highly advise doing. It is a life-changing, quality of life improvement. And this is relatively simple on this side if you don't need the 0. So let's start with the cuts. So first of all, there's 2 cuts on near switch 404. Right, there's one between the pin of the switch and there's a via, so you have to cut that and cut it closer to the switch because you'll need to link to the via. Then this trace, which is linking button 7 to button star, you have to cut that as well. So that's 1 and 2 out of 5. 3 out of 5 is this one here, right? Comes out of the via, cut it. Between these 2 switches, you have to completely cut this trace. It's not very visible in this image, but should be visible here. I don't know, some cut. It's not a huge trace. You can see it in real life. And do not forget this trace, which I did forget in the case of this particular radio. So this is the last cut, which you have to perform. Now, once you disconnected all of these traces, you have to relink the matrix, right? The button matrix. And there's only one link in this case between this via over here. So left of switch 404, you can see it over here. There's a via. Just link that up to button 7. And that's it. As far as routing the buttons, you could use regular magnet wires. So like thin stuff like that, or even like the darker one. But I don't know. I'm a bit wary of long runs of that stuff. So I don't know. I do like running some proper cables. And in this case, I don't enjoy it at all. Creating a bit of a channel in this board. So there's nothing really happening on that side, you can see. Right, so as long as you don't cut up to this trace, you're fine. And on the top side, it's also fine. And I like running all the cables through here. This one from the right has to avoid this general area because there's a part of the button plastic coming down, but it's not too big a deal to have it avoid and clear everything and then just have the plastic part sit on top flush. And yeah. I also cut a bit of the metal bracket on the radio side. So meaning this bracket, this one over here. I also enjoy like shimming that to make sure the wires go as nicely as possible. And to ensure the wires don't vibrate and cut themselves in the cuts, in the pressed metal, I usually dab a bit of silicone, right? You can see it's kind of dry there, rubbery. So this will ensure no friction can chew away at the wires. See a bit of excess here. But yeah, apart from that, I think, yeah, not much. Let's put some heat shrink on this and then we will be done. I'll be done. I don't know. You guys still have to do this. Alright, so one thing I forgot to mention before I leave, this in particular is a QCC3008 Bluetooth module. Hopefully that will be moderately visible. And I have a tutorial for how to program that over here. And if you can't find this one, you can also buy a CSRA64215. And I also have tutorials for that, also linked up here. But yeah, that's been it. I'll close this up, label it. If you guys have any questions or you want me to do this to your radio, let me know down in the comments. Have a good one.